morning, everybody. My name is Rakendu. I'm here to talk here today about a different set of topics. Media processing, something that happens under the hood, if you will, but nonetheless very critical piece of the telecom infrastructure that we all play with. So let me get started. Dialogic. When I throw the word Dialogic to a lot of my customers, they all go, huh, who's Dialogic? I mean, immediately the old boards come into play and all the fax boards and the voice boards. Those are the kinds of things that people think about. We've been around the block for a while. We've been in the industry playing for over 30 odd years. But Dialogic has evolved. We are now providing core infrastructure for a lot of our telcos. Ranging from IMS core components like MRF and some of the call control pieces and CSCF pieces to some of the core NGN pieces. So we have a range of things. One of the core underlying themes behind Dialogic from an evolution standpoint is migration towards software. Everything we do, everything we have been doing in the last 4, 5, probably 10 years is centered around moving core network assets to software. So NFE is a huge part of our overall strategy and some of the things that we've been doing in NFE for a while. So with that as the background, one of the things I want to talk today about was specifically the media processing, or our core flagship product called the PowerMedia XMS. For the uninitiated, the media processors are known by a variety of things. People know it as MRFs in IMS networks. They know it as an MCU, they know it as a video mixer, some people think of it as an IP media gateway. There are lots and lots of different names, but essentially all of it does is heavy-duty media mixing, core processing from a technology standpoint. What XMS is all about is it's virtualized and 100% software-based. It's got a comprehensive audio and video capabilities, WebRTC, IMS ready. But one of the key things that I wanted to pick on here is it's got a robust set of APIs. So, we have talked about essentially applications and APIs yesterday and today. One of our takes here is that not only that's critical, but it's also critical to open up the core network processing, like media processing, through API infrastructure, and that's what we're going to talk about. So what I'm going to do is show you a little bit about some of the APIs that we support, but more importantly, I'm going to start showing some of the use cases that we actually have. And continuing the theme that Alan talked about, we'll actually have a customer talk about their experience using XMS to drive their use case. So from the standpoint of APIs, we offer the whole spectrum of APIs, from the modern JSON, Java-based APIs that the web codes and the web developers love, to some of the more traditional telco APIs like the VXML and NetAN and some of the old traditional ones. So there's a whole spectrum of APIs. I think the more critical thing is that regardless of which direction you go, you're going to get the same kind of look and feel in terms of the capability and functionality. And some of the examples of what you can actually do is things like transcoding, things like media processing, things like mixing, recording. Things that are critical in all the use cases, but things that are mostly taken for granted. So these are the kinds of things that we enable. So with that said, what I'm going to do next is talk a little bit about the use cases. And I have, we selected 3 varied set of use cases. The first one is an example of an over-the-top provider that is revolutionizing the next generation emergency services. And it's a very, very different way of approaching the traditional 911 or whatever the number is in your specific country location. That's one example. The second key example is also around some of the more traditional telco use cases where they're looking at ways to add WebRTC to existing IMS and SIP infrastructure, so ability to bridge different worlds, if you will. And the last one is telcos looking at enterprises, especially around some of the core video conferencing type enterprises. So we'll talk about 3 different use cases, time permitting. So the first one that I think is more exciting for us is this over-the-top provider called Safer Mobility. By way of background, this is a startup based out of Atlanta, Georgia. One of the key things, or one of the core things that they offer is they're experts in combining user identity, location, and contextual information in an emergency context. So they have several patents in that area. And they're looking to build services combining contextual information, location information, user identification in an emergency services concept. And they're looking at participating in a 1.7 billion or whatever the number is in terms of the emergency services market. So we've been working with them for the last 2 years. And when they initially approached us, they had several challenges, right? So they were not looking to build the next, just another 911 service where somebody picks up a phone and calls 911 and then expects to get a service. They were looking this as from a campus security standpoint. So essentially, university campuses was a prime target, where they were looking to enable students, provide security of our students on campus. Traditionally, in the US campuses, there's this notion of blue boxes where people can go and dial a number and ask for help. But they're looking to build a next generation of that. They're essentially what I call mobile blue boxes, and they'll talk about it in a second. And from their perspective, for an over-the-top provider, time to market is critical. I think we heard this in some other presentations as well. The notion of trying to deliver the solution first to the market type of thing is very critical. And from the standpoint of emergency services, for them, it's not only important to complete the calls, but it's also ability to archive it, record it, for post-processing, for lawful agencies to look at the information, et cetera. That's also what's critical. So there are some of the key challenges, and then they'll probably talk about it in a second here. In terms of the core solution, this is what it looks like. One of the key things to mention here is this: everything is in the solution is run on Amazon Cloud. We have mobile clients, basically mobile users, campus users, and the students that are pointing their devices on the client applications to the infrastructure running on Amazon, which then is being used to communicate back to the public safety officials, and whether it's a police or what have you. They'll not only see video, live video location, they can talk to the person in case, or chat with them, text with them, things of that nature. So that's sort of the setup. With that, I'll just let the video run where the customer will actually talk about their experience here.
Hi, I'm Kevin Mullins. I'm the CEO of Safer Mobility. Safer Mobility is best described as a 911 system on steroids. Technology was developed by a university for a university. We've been able to migrate this technology out, moving into corporate campus, hospital, and also within other demographics. Dialogic was really the piece that brought it all together. Dialogic PowerMedia XMS really was that solution that tied everything in that we needed to, especially on the audio and the video side. We knew where we wanted to go, but we didn't necessarily know how to get there. So by partnering with Dialogic, it allowed us to be able to be creative, to be nimble. We built a web RTC-based platform that allows us to be able to have that peer-to-peer communication, but also multi-to-peer and peer-to-multi. So it really allows us to be nimble. We can cut and paste our technology, we can move into various demographics, and that's exactly what we're doing with Safer Mobility. And again, we've been able to do that through this partnership with Dialogic. Towson University, which is where we are today, is a 19,000 student liberal arts university in Maryland. Towson's very safety conscious. They're very much ahead of the curve. By adapting Safer Mobility, it's allowed them to have thousands of mobile blue boxes moving about campus. When you look at the university structure, when you look at campus safety, lots of pressure to universities to build safety within campus. Studies show that 1 in 5 female students will be sexually assaulted during 4 years. Towson recognizes that, and they've driven those numbers down, and they've done that via Safer Mobility.
My name is Matthew Ma. I am the Chief Technology Officer of Safer Mobility. We are working on applications for public safety. There are sort of like 3 main pieces to the Safer Mobility system. The first piece that the client sees is the mobile application piece, right? And this is the piece that it finds your location. It is the source of audio and video from someone at a scene that they want to send information out to someone who's sitting at the second piece, which is a console. And we assume that's going to be running in like a public safety center, so it's going to be run by someone at the police or someone in a similar kind of position. And that is the console where an operator is going to answer your call. They're going to see where the call is coming from, and they're going to be able to interact with the user both over, with their voice as well as with text. The third piece is the server portion. So right now we have the server part in the cloud, and it has all of the business logic built into it, and we're using the PowerMedia XMS for all of the WebRTC storage and transferring of audio and video. PowerMedia XMS is being used to both to relay the video and as well as to store it. For public safety applications, the police are interested in maintaining a record of everything that happens. So if you make a call and you have video of a suspect in a crime, we want to make sure that that's available for as long as the police want to keep it. If people want to come back afterwards and press charges or something similar, they need to have that available to them. So PowerMedia XMS was a great way to save video as well as to be like a central point to relay video through our system. PowerMedia XMS is great about that. It takes care of the codecs for you. The video comes in, it gets saved in a file. You can run FFmpeg on the file and get a new video that you can play, right? And it was really quite painless relative to some of the other things that we tried and were not successful with using.
If you look around the university here, you see everyone's carrying a smart device with them. It's everything. It's their bank, it's their calendar, it's their connection to the world. And we've turned it into a mobile safety tool. So now with the application, if a student needs a direct communication tool, they're in crisis, need of assistance, there's one app to hit, the Safer Mobility application. They hit the app, it dials in to the command center here. And again, you get the profile piece. They know exactly who the student is. They know their class schedule if they want to see that. They know their vehicle tag number. Whatever information that the university would like to see is built into that template. And they know exactly where they're at on campus. The role that WebRTC played in the solution was really allowing us to speed up the application side, speed up the development of it, being able to get this out to market faster. When you're talking about mobile safety, you have a lot of companies that are trying to get in that market right now. While none do what we do, they're still in that market. WebRTC, again, allowed us to move faster, to be more nimble, to be able to enhance our product more quickly. Dialogic PowerMedia XMS played the most vital role, being able to give us that platform for voice and for the audio side, to being able to take the information and to be able to catalog, to be able to archive, and ultimately be able to retrieve that information. Safer Mobility will continue to expand in municipal 911, corporations, hospitals, obviously universities. We have a new product coming out for the banking industry, financial services, and we have a lot of cool and exciting things to come.
So that was one example of some of the things that the over-the-top guys are doing relative to the media processing, essentially taking the APIs there. The other example I have here is more traditional telco use case, and this is something that we are working with our partner Oracle. The basic use case is connecting WebRTC cloud to the traditional VoIP and SIP and IMS clouds. So essentially, there is a need for interworking piece between these two worlds in terms of different codecs, ability to translate encryption, ability to traverse NAT, and so on and so forth, and bridge the gap. So in that context, Dialogic powers the media processing element of this WebRTC interaction between IMS networks and VoIP networks and the WebRTC side of things with Oracle's WSC, for example, as one solution. Where we are responsible, Dialogic is responsible for VP8 to a traditional H.264 conversion if need be, or 711 to an Opus conversion, and things of that nature. So those are the kinds of things that we are enabling. Again, the way this came about was through an API interface where, as I mentioned before, XMS supports a REST interface, so the ability to interconnect different products, whether it's just the developer stuff that we talked about from a safer mobility standpoint or even traditional point products, is unmatched because of the richness of the APIs that we provide. And the last example here is another use case where we have a customer in the APAC region that is looking to roll out enterprise-wide video conferencing. The use case primarily is for mid to large enterprises looking to do things like all hands meetings and things of that nature, where they expect 200, 300 type of attendees to attend a video conference. So a traditional peer-to-peer model simply doesn't scale. You can't cope up with that many participants joining a video session, let alone be stable. So the reason for media server's existence, again, is to be able to bridge those 200 connections together on a single conference. Now, this is not an audio conference, this is a video conference. So we have the ability to be able to bridge that many participants together, present a coherent visualization to the end customer to drive the video conference session, again, for things like all hands meetings and other large-scale company-wide events and things of that nature for video conferencing needs. Again, driven by a REST interface. The interaction's been pretty straightforward. The backend technologies, a lot of it is WebRTC, to be honest. So in terms of rolling out the solution, it's been pretty painless. A lot of the work that we have done is in terms of supporting the scalability for upwards of 200 plus, 300 plus participants in a video conference. So this is sort of another flavor for what telcos are doing. And essentially, there are over-the-top kind of guys that are doing differentiated services, and there is this traditional telcos that are looking to bridge worlds as they embrace WebRTC, and then there is carriers like this that are looking to drive WebRTC-based video conferencing solutions to enterprise markets. So at least those were the sampling, if you will, for some of the 3 different types of use cases that powered by XMS or powered by Dialogic. So that, I think, brings to my last slide. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
That was X.
Yep.
Hello, hello, hello? No? Okay. I'll just project. Is there one up there? We seem to be missing one of the mics. Okay. So just for the sake of time, we'll move on to the next one. During the exhibition, you've got your stand so people can come there. That was excellent. Thank you so much. So